said you can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song.
Welcome to Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged with your host, Brain Fitzpatrick. Wheeling the Pathways of Life Unplugged is a snapshot of the day-to-day experiences of disabled individuals as they navigate the world around us. We wish to shed light and open your eyes on a new perspective of people with disabilities. And by going unplugged, we can discuss viewpoints we hope will challenge our viewers' points of view. Most of us have disabilities we must live with, but what defines us is the way we deal with them. And now, here's your host, Brain Fitzpatrick.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Brain Fitzpatrick bringing you an episode of Wheeling the Pathways of Life. Today we have a couple of special guests, people that I work with on a daily basis. Kristen and Randy. Randy is the new CEO of UCP, and Kristen is the director of. You can tell what you are, Kristen, because it's a mouthful.
Yeah, just like my name.
Yeah. So, Randy, let's start with you. What is your role as CEO?
What is my role as CEO? So my role as CEO is really to create a vision for the organization, to work in the community, to raise awareness amongst people in our community about what people with disabilities are all about, and what are their strengths, what are the different types of disabilities that are out there. Is really just keeping everyone informed of all the programs and services we provide to help people with disabilities live a life without limits.
Limits. I agree with, that's a good explanation, and I agree with that, but keeping in mind, at the same time, everybody has limits, so there's nothing that, if we say no limits, then that means we can do more than what everybody else can, and that's not the case. What we're trying to do is make it as normal as possible without a disability.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Kristen, what is your role as far as the support you provide?
So my role is the Director of Community Living Options at UCP, and I oversee a few different programs with all the same goal of keeping people in the community as independent as they're capable of or possible. I oversee the Shared Living and the Adult Family Care Program, which is for people who have caregivers that live in the home with them. And then I also oversee some programs where members live independently with varied supports, whether it be PCAs, direct support workers, or adult companions who come in and help them with their day-to-day tasks, or just getting them out in the community and involved with different things they enjoy.
One of the people you get to work with more on a daily basis and in person a couple days a week now is me.
That is correct.
Which may be a good thing maybe a bad thing in some, aspects, but no, one of the things I want to talk about real quick before we really get going, the question, from what I've seen in the past couple weeks since I've been going to the office, it is absolutely amazing how you wouldn't know which is part of your mission, of course. People have disabilities, of course, but you would never know talking to them or interacting with them in the office or as an individual. You guys do a great job at communicating with them as normal as possible, and I think that's one of the things I'm looking for when I go up there, is to see what kind of services are out there for other people and ways that I can help and ways that I can be a benefit to you guys, even for the show and just me in general, being able to join in some of the activities and give my opinions and my expertise as far as disabilities and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to be going up there, as you know, and as we've talked about, the traditional day programs for me don't really fit my likes. I don't really prefer those because they're more at a level where it's too difficult to get a program that meets my level if I went to a traditional day program. So I'm very excited and very glad that you and I came up with the idea of me coming in the office. Randy, just so you know, this was a case of discussion on a weekend and a half, and a couple weeks later that I was going up to both offices. So it's, and you're building programs. You're building programs every day, and you don't even know what, they're making programs work for the individuals where they are. And even if that's just going up to the office for a couple hours. So, Randy, you're gonna be on the spot for a little while.
All right.
Kristen, you wanna throw one at him and see how he does?
Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah.
All right. So what would you do scenario?
Yes.
All right.
You know mine.
I know, and I don't want to steal that one. So why don't you start with that one, so I
Okay.
can think more.
You're in a chair. Okay. You're in a chair. You walking down the hallway. Okay. You're driving down the hallway and you see a door at the end of the hallway, but it's got a round doorknob. How are you gonna get out the door without assistance?
We wouldn't have a door with a round handle on it.
Oh, that's the point.
Yeah,
Why?
You want to have a door with a handle, not a knob.
You got the handle right there.
Oh, you got the what?
You got it without me even going there.
Yeah.
You can't trick me.
What's another one?
So I know one of the ones you like to talk about is emergency evacuation situations.
Yep.
And this is a tough one
Yep.
that we've had with a lot of members, not just Brian, on some staff having a harder time acknowledging that, a specific protocol is in place, specifically a fire drill. How do we run a fire drill at your house, Brian?
Well, sometimes I do them later.
Well, no, but we all know what to do. But
Sometimes I do them myself. Like,
so what would you think would be Brian's protocol for a fire drill at his house?
So I mean, first of all, I think just going back a little bit, I think it takes practice, right? Because you got to learn the steps and the ways, where the exits are, where the ramps are, and all that. So in your situation, your protocol would be to find the exit that you're most familiar with, if it's not blocked by a fire or anything like that, and head to that.
actually, no.
Or
No.
dial 911.
No. No.
Well, you know what? I think let's give him a little credit here.
Okay.
If you were in your chair and could get
that
out of the
would be-
house,
That would be normal if I was in my chair.
yes.
Yes.
But what would I do if I wasn't in my chair?
If you weren't in your chair and the fire alarm went off,
Yes.
that's a great question. I would assume your chair is nearby.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what you would do.
And you can't use a Hoyer.
Yeah.
And you cannot use a Hoyer.
Okay.
So what are your options?
Really?
Staff
And staff?
can't give you help. Staff can't give me help. So what's the next option?
I would think. I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. I'll be honest.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you tell me. This is good for me. Yeah.
Protocol is get the staff outside and wait for the fire department.
Okay.
Okay? And or the fire department would come in and take me out. Why is that? Because I am a spastic quadriplegic. So the spasms increase tenfold when I'm in a stressful situation. So you do not want to put me in a lift in that situation
Okay.
because of the spasms. The stress could let go and you could end up on the floor. Yes, there's a risk that you might not get out in time, but I'd rather take that risk than hurt somebody else and get hurt myself in a much worse way than it would be if there's a risk in it, but that's the best way the protocol is for me, and there's a good reason why. Also because if, let's say it's a minor issue, and the fire department comes in and evacuates me, and then I won't lose staff for a couple weeks while they recover because they didn't have to do it. They didn't have to go. They didn't have to do any strenuous activities to get me out and potentially be out for a long period of time. So that it's a protocol that is controversial, and I'm without giving privacy things, you've told me you've run into that with a couple other people as well.
Interesting enough, we do have a lot of members, especially if they live in community apartments. Most of their protocols are very similar, that they stay, if you're in a wheelchair, you stay put and the fire department comes to get them.
Or really, in a public building, especially in Pittsfield School District, thanks to me, of course, but in the public school system, way back when I went to school, they didn't even have an evacuation plan for people in wheelchairs. All the teachers were responsible for getting the students out, regardless of whether they were physically capable of doing it at all. And because I was on the student council, I set the policy with the principal. All wheelchairs go to the stairwell. Why is that, Randy? What are the two things at the stairwell that would, what are the two main reasons why you go to the stairwell?
Why are the two main reasons to go to a stairwell? That's where the exits are?
Close.
Close.
They're both, all public buildings have fire doors at stairwells.
All right.
They're rated for an hour. Okay? They're rated for an hour. And the first place the fire department's gonna go is the stairwells.
Stairwells, okay. Good.
Okay. So, the protocol obviously is different when I'm in the chair because I can go right out the doors. If the doors aren't compromised because of fire. Now, Kristen, I'm gonna throw one at you that you probably don't know.
Okay.
But one of the things that I put in place when I moved in is my approach on the front door is capable of taking my chair.
Okay.
I can't get out. I can't get out the main door, but I can get the chair through the stairwell to wait for the fire department
Okay.
to get me out. So there is a second, what I'm saying is there is a second exit, but I can't complete the exit, but there is a second way to get me out. And the other thing is, if there's a major problem, fire department can come in the window in my bedroom and just take me out that way. Now, Randy, where would you put somebody like me outside if I didn't have my chair?
If you did have your chair?
If I didn't
If you didn't.
have my chair.
Where would I put you outside?
Besides the ground.
Well, far away from the fire, right?
You're right there, but I'm thinking
Well,
the way for the situation to be safer, a decision to be made on what the next move is.
in a field in a vehicle.
Close.
What kind of vehicle?
What kind of vehicle?
A
If there's an
Well, if-
emergency,
yeah. Well, a police car, ambulance.
Ambulance.
Yeah.
there you go.
Because in all fire situations, there's an ambulance on scene.
But if the ambulance wasn't there,
That's when you would call one. That one.
all right.
That's when you might have to sit on the ground for a couple
That's
minutes.
right. Well, that's where my mind was going. That the ambulance wasn't there yet. But yeah, of course, if there was an ambulance there.
The reason why I'm discussing all these is because we've had these scenarios, actually, and because of what a couple weekends ago, I verified the plan is with them while they were there checking the fire alarm system
Yeah.
because of a spider.
He had a spider set off his fire alarm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he got to practice his protocol again.
Yeah. So, Randy, so your role is more of a case of getting out there to the public and telling people what the services are and what services are available. Kristen, we might as well kind of enlighten them. I've kind of enlightened them a little the public about what I'm doing between both offices. Well, what do you see as the benefits of me going up there and being in Pittsfield on a regular basis?
So I think there's a lot of benefits
Yes.
to that. Benefits for you and benefits for the community and for us as well. I think that you have always been a great sounding board. And when Brian comes to the offices, sometimes we learn new things or find things that we're like, you know what, that could be better. Or that's already good and we have other ideas. But Brian's giving us an opportunity for us to have him as a resource and him to have us as a resource. And I think that's been one of the biggest aspects, and we're trying to get that established so that there's more knowledge out there for your people listening and people in the community to have that opportunity to say, oh, what would Brian do? And, oh, he's at the offices on these days, and have times where you can meet with people and talk about things you're passionate about or advocacy that you'd like to work on.
And Randy, from a financial standpoint, I will be coming to you because I mean, it's you and I will be discussing programs and ways that I can help you fund things and things that I need in situations and
Yeah, I like that conversation.
stuff like that. And not that I'm being ridiculously controversial about the funding I need, but it's a conversation that we need to have because not that this is a problem with everybody, but not to down anybody or say anything bad about people, but a lot of the clients, not a lot, but quite a few, we have communication difficulties, so it's harder for them to communicate their needs. So I can go in as an individual and say, this is what I've observed, this is what I think might help, or something like that. Would you agree with that, Kristen?
Yeah, I think that sometimes from a administrative or a program manager standpoint, you see things and you don't think of all of the other options. And Brian, you have the lived experience of finding yourself to have to figure stuff out with limitations, and you've done very well with that. And I think that's a really good example of how you could be that other view and that other viewpoint of things, where we might see somebody who's having communication issues and say, oh, we're going to try an iPad and this and that. And Brian's perspective may be completely outside of our box because he's had experience in that, and this is what worked for him, and it may work for them.
One individual, one situation, as far as the communication devices, I may not understand the communication device, but I may have some ideas of what to put in the communication device to make it easier for them to communicate.
Yep.
One of the things I'm working on with senators and the government is a big, huge issue. Is with the federal government and the state government, would you realize that all people with communication device cannot be witnesses in the court system? They cannot be witnesses in the court system at all. Why? Why is that, Randy?
Why is it? Why? Well, one, it's not right, and the reason why.
No. Why? Why did they say that?
Why they can't be a witness.
Yeah. Well, because how they communicate is not being communicated to the judge or the jury that's there, so they feel that they shouldn't be there. But that's what I was trying to say. It's probably not correct, because these communication devices now could be helpful in helping someone be a witness that may not be able to communicate the way that normal communication is done.
You got it. You got it, Alec. You got it partially right. Because the communication device is inputted by someone else and not the witness themselves. That's where it becomes a problem with the communication.
Because it could be interpreted wrongly, I guess. Yeah.
Or it could be inputted wrong.
Right.
Whoever's setting up the device might say, oh, we're going to say yes, but it really is no. And
Yeah.
And in my case, Randy, I'm gonna ask you a straight up question.
Okay.
Is a nursing home a medical facility?
Is a nursing home a medical facility?
Yes.
I'd say no.
That's right. So
Right.
what can happen that can't happen in a medical facility?
What can happen in a nursing home that can't happen in a medical facility?
Or shouldn't happen in a medical facility?
I'm not sure.
This is one that I gotta be kind of delicate with, but because it's a nursing home, anything that the patient or staff does is not legally against the law. It may be a rule that is set by the facility, but it is not necessarily legally they cannot be held accountable for it.
Because they don't fall under the medical protocols that a hospital would. Even though they have nurses and medical doctors and interesting.
Because it's a person's home.
Oh.
Oh, that okay. Yep.
I had a case where I took it to court and the case was thrown out because it was a home and not a
Medical facility.
medical facility. Had it been in a person's home, had it been in a medical facility like Berkshire Health System, DMC itself, it would have been prosecuted right there. But none, I must say this when Jennifer would be proud of me for saying this. And you can go back and say, don't I actually said none of the activities that I'm doing none of the activities that I do, either between both offices, either between the office of Pittsfield or the office of North Adams, doesn't mean anybody else can't do them. It's just something that I'm doing right now, but we do invite anybody that wants to, as far as a client or a consumer or a member, as we like to call them, because they are a member of the facility, they member of the agency, they're more than welcome to go up to the office anytime and see what's going on and be involved.
Yep.
It's just, I have more of a sometimes I have more of an understanding and more focused things that I am doing there, and being there for 40 years like I have, I kind of know the ins and outs, And the fact that my sister's on the board has no bearing to anything that I do. So sometimes it gets a little interesting when I'm telling them about stuff and she's like, you can't do that. And it's like, you tell them that because, but, typical family situations. And Chris and I have talked about things that are, one of the things that I want to real quick talk about is, just in general, is do we, you work with the families as much as possible, Kristen, but we tend to work with the clients more, the consumers more than the families. I mean, equal time, but I mean, it's more about what the clients, the consumers need than the families.
Well, I think it's all situational, but for the most part,
No, only what I'm getting to is if a family member doesn't agree with what the consumer wants or the member, we have to find the delicate balance of creating what the member wants as opposed to necessarily what the family can
yeah.
find, you know.
Well, I think that's, you know what, in every program that I work in, there's always that balance because family knows their members differently than we do. That's their child, that's their brother, that's their sister, and those relationships are very different than the relationships that you have with the people you work with. And, you know, parents are always going to see their children as a child. And no matter if they're an adult or 3 years old, that's still their child. So their feelings on what should be done or how things should be done are always going to be a little different compared to what other people would think. But I think in a case of, like in your case, you know, we come to you and we always encourage that you involve your family, but at the end of the day, the choice of what you share and what you do is always yours. And we support those choices. And I always tell you, whether they're good or bad, we're going to support you. But we're going to tell you what we think the outcomes might be, whether they're good or bad.
Well, and then with that same question, but in a different capacity with early intervention, the families are heavily involved in the support of the child, and whether it's early intervention or autism, the families are involved in the process. They are actually given a set of tools so they can make sure that they, you know, follow through on some of the skill setting that has been established for that child at home with their child.
That's one thing that we can bring out a little bit. Even though it's called UCP of Western Mass, it does not necessarily mean all the consumers have CP.
Correct.
We deal with MS, we deal with early intervention situations, we deal with traumatic brain injuries, TBIs, for sure. We deal with assisting getting people out of nursing homes with the with that program. So
The MFP program.
MFP program. What's the one that we?
Adult Family Care Program.
Yeah, we is involved with that.
Yep.
And that's one other thing that Randy may not know about because he's in Clarktown.
Here's that.
He's not in the mean potatoes of the program. I do a lot of supporting staff and educating staff, as well as, helping with beginning to help with continued education of the individual, so they can get a degree, get the degrees in whatever they're going for. So it benefits the agency, plus it benefits me too as well. Kristen, like I said, this is not all about me, and what I'm trying to do is show people that, yes, I get benefits from it too, but we're benefiting other people too, and we're benefiting other situations as well. Kristen, I did not put this on the list, but Randy, Kristen, Randy, do you know what I mean by a "What About Me" book?
Do I know what about me book? What does it mean?
What does a "What About Me" book mean, and what is it used for?
What about me book is an individual's perspective on themselves, and it's no.
No, that's a good definition.
Yeah. So, and it's obviously in a book type of format, and
Kristen, the reason why I bring that up is we're working on one specific for me, and
Yeah, so one of the projects that I've been talking with him about doing is having something where when new staff start, or even when you have staff that have worked with you for a while that you kind of get in this routine with, you can reference this book that is written in his point of view, from his perspective of what his likes are, what his dislikes are, what a day in the life of Brian looks like. But down to those simple things sometimes where, somebody might just come in and say, oh, okay, we got to get you dressed. And they just grab some clothes and they help them get changed. And they don't think about, oh, do you want to wear jeans or do you want to wear sweatpants? Having that out there of I like to have a couple options. I like to have choices of what I want to eat. Some days I want to sleep in, and that's okay. If I say I want to stay in bed a little longer, that's not an issue. So that was one of the new projects we were talking about.
Yeah, and I find it easier to train that way because a lot of the situations are repeated and repeated over and over again. It's like, didn't I just go through this with you?
Yep.
Well, and I think it's a good tool too because you have a reference, so you don't have to keep repeating yourself. But then there's also the accountability for you as well to say, this person, if he comes to us and says, I'm really unhappy with how a staff is doing something, we can say, well, have you had them review the book lately? Have you talked to them about certain things? And have it all in one place, because I think right now we have pieces of that, but not in one area for reference. So.
And a lot of the situations and some of the "What About Brian?" some of the demonstrations may turn into videos, may turn into audio, because it's easier to see it than it is to write about it.
There you go. Yeah.
And people learn differently.
Kristen, example.
Uh-oh.
I think you know where I'm going with it. you the first time with the lift.
Yep.
Letting one of the straps let go. And she did a very good job keeping me calm and me thinking that I was in control. But she was actually in control more than I was. But we did need the assistance of the fire department on that one, but we got the situation under control without me going on the floor.
Yeah, he didn't hit the floor, so that was good.
That is good.
And I keep telling her she's got to train because so many people just panic and say, what do I do? Then we've got people who understandably don't understand the reasons why. And some of the questions are a little odd given their experience with me, but like I had a situation with a PCA, won't name any names, but asked me, what do I do if I find you not breathing when I come in? And obviously, I've been that way for a while. What do I do? Do I lock the door and just leave? Or do I call someone first? You wouldn't think that was a question that somebody would ask, but not knowing the answer is important, but sometimes it's how you ask as well. The conversation needs to go along with it. So it was a shocking question when I first got the question, as far as, you know, somebody working with me would ask a question like that, but I've learned through my experience, if they don't ask questions, they don't know. So it's however weird it may be, that's a question that does come up. Randy, before I run out of time, because we're 10 minutes before the end of the show, obviously, we're 10 minutes before the end of the show. Have you had experience in doing any personal care, or have you had experience doing any PCA or any hands-on care?
No, not directly or officially, but I've had experience working with friends of mine and their individuals. So Sean Moshan, I've known for a long time, and his former stepfather and I were best friends, and we used to see him all the time and help support and do some things with him. But again, not professionally or in a manner where I was, the number one caregiver for Sean. But Sean I've known for a long time.
You weren't actually a PCA, but you are aware of what's going on and how to do things if you need to in certain situations. Not necessarily as a professional, but at least you have some idea what to do with that situation.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have run across is people bother me when people walk in the store and I'll walk to people and say, is he okay, or is he, they avoid talking to me rather than talk. They avoid talking to me and they go to step. So one of the things that I'm working on wholeheartedly, and I've even done it with the Pittsfield Fire Department, is coming to me directly if there's a situation rather than go to the staff.
Right.
The staff support me, but I am the main point of contact.
If you want to talk to you, talk to you.
And believe me, I will be talking to you. Which will not be a bad thing, Randy. But I know you don't know a lot about this, but for those people that are listening, I've got a new device over the last couple, I've had it for almost 6 months now.
Yeah, probably about 6 months, or close to it.
It's called Night Owl.
Yeah.
Night Owl is a in-home sports off-site monitoring system that replaces things like Lifeline. It doesn't replace it, but it can be used in place of. And sometimes it could be as simple as needing someone to come over and reposition or help me in a stuck situation, or, you know. Unfortunately for you, Gretchen, at least till Monday, you're the primary contact.
I'm getting the calls, yep.
But I know. But one of the situations we had with Night Owl is I was losing a lot of movement. I was finding people not coming in for the overnights, people calling out and stuff. Night Owl is a way that I can stay home alone without necessarily having staff and meeting this safety aspect without scaring everybody.
Yep.
Now, my family doesn't necessarily agree with it, but it's one of those decisions that came from me. And believe me, the hardest thing sometimes is getting the families to realize, hey, I'm not a kid anymore. This is what I want to do. And some of the ways that we deal with families obviously change, but you know, we know families care about family, but sometimes caring kind of gives people, creates friction, not intentionally, but it does create friction. Randy, I'll go to you, because how do people get a hold of you if they have any questions?
You told me not to give you my phone number.
Your first phone.
So people could get a hold of me. I mean, my email address is my name, rkinnas, Kinnas, at ucpwma.org. So that's one way to reach me. The other way is through our phone at work, which is 442-1562. And then I am extension 102.
So
Yep, same extension.
and how did they get a hold of you?
Me?
Yeah.
So they can email me. It's very long, but it's KSAHARCZEWSKI@ucpwma.org. It's a lot of letters.
Or you can get a hold of me at wheelingthepathwaytolife@gmail.com, and I will forward any questions to Randy or Kristen and get your questions answered, or possibly have them back. And yes, Randy, you might be able to do this again.
Yeah. Well, Stump the CEO, is that the name of the next show? Ask him questions that he can't possibly know the answer to?
No, that's just me being fun, putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for being willing to do this, and we will do this again soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
With that, folks, this has been Brian Fitzpatrick, bringing you an episode of Wheeling the Pathways of Life. Again, you can get a hold of me at wheelingthepathwaytolife@gmail.com for any questions. Other than that, have a good afternoon, folks. And we won't be on next week, but we will be on the following week. So this episode will run again next week.
Well, double whammy.
Thank you, folks, and have a good afternoon.
You can bury the workman, but the work will go on. You can silence the voices, but you can't stop the song. 'Cause when the spirits move, and His will be done. You can bury the workman, but the work will go on.